Hello. Hello, everybody. If you can see me on YouTube, if this is working, then you got to let me know because I don't know what's working and what isn't these days. I don't know how life is
Yeah, that's working,
organized.
mate. That's all good.
It's on
All good.
working. Oh, we're
All
up.
good.
We're live. I can't believe it. Thank you very much. Michael O'Connor's in the chat already. He says, "Hi lads, great stuff. Excellent." Michael O'Connor. He says cancelled. I don't know what's cancelled. We got the Queen. R.I.P. to those of you who, follow that kind of thing. I have to give my own thoughts on it. Is that yeah, I'm sad for her family. But personally, I mean, I'm equally sad for her dying as I would be for anyone who I don't know. I'd never understood humanity's obsession with stars. It's like if a star, famous person has died and all that stuff. I mean, but my neighbour died a couple of months ago, and it's very, very sad. And I'm very sad for all the people who knew her, all of her loved ones. But for me, people are equal wherever, and I don't give any special kind of treatment if you're famous or if you're not, and I've never understood why. But there you go. That's my opinion. Maybe your opinion is entirely different, and that's okay. Speaking of opinions, I'm delighted to be sharing this platform with Jack from Anfield Road TV, and with Nigel, who's busy. He's going to be dealing with customers. He's going to be giving his thoughts as well. Do give your thoughts in the chat. Jack, there's no Premier League this weekend, so that gives us a lot of time to talk about what's going wrong at Liverpool. Since the last Cop On podcast, it's all been going to pot. It's been going to hell. It's been going to hell in a handbasket. It's going straight to hell. It's not passing go. It's just going straight there. And I wonder how your season expectations have changed now, given our terrible form. Because I think, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, I think we'll do well, even if Thiago stays fit. We'd do well to finish 7th. I'm going for we'll finish between 8th and 10th in the Premier League. Am I being ridiculously pessimistic? How are you feeling, Jack?
Yeah, firstly, Owen, thank you very much for having me on. And apology, Nigel, and everyone waiting. Taxi duties for the family, so it's my fault we're late. So apologise. Thank you once again, Owen. And yeah, I understand where you're coming from in terms of. I think all of us are to have a reality check in terms of the performance levels in which Liverpool have been showing since the start of the beginning of the season. Where you could probably take away the Manchester City Community Shield game as probably our best performance of the season, quite rightly so, by a million miles away. But I was thinking that too, mate. I think we've got European games to look forward to as of recording. I think they're going ahead. Correct. Apologies if I'm wrong, everyone. But I think they might be going ahead. So if that is the case, then we can look to European games and we will discuss the Napoli defeat probably in tonight's episode, mate. But yeah, 6th and 7th. That's the reality, isn't it, Owen and everyone listening? But the aspirations of Liverpool at the start of this season were to at least compete with Manchester City again after the tremendous season we had on all 4 fronts in all competitions. But I think there has to be some realisation setting in, and I've had that very similar, Owen, in terms of what are our expectations going forward. We know what they are, but if performances of recent times, over the last couple of weeks and even the last couple of days, if we continue in that run and vein of form, then it's going to be really disappointing. And given the extent of injuries, and as you said, if Thiago coming back, it's another way of playing and different philosophy. I think Jurgen Klopp's quotes, reinvent ourselves. I think they're 2 words that he used in his interview after the Champions League Napoli game, and I think potentially we might need to do that.
It's a really interesting answer, and stay with you, Nigel. He's walking around. Someone's asking if Alan the cat says, did Nigel film the Blair Witch Project because his camera has been walking through his work? But I think he's ready to talk now. But I just want to stay with you just for one moment, Jack, because you're talking about reinventing ourselves. I mean, I think Klopp actually meant, because, if you watch a few of his different interviews, I think what he actually meant is something that they mentioned on the Anfield Wrap, which is like to reset rather than reinvent. But I don't know if it's possible, Jack, because Klopp football, if you're looking at resetting, going back to the basics, going back to the things we do well, in any Jurgen Klopp team, you need huge amounts of energy for it to work. Without the huge amounts of energy, you've got no hope. And that's what we've seen this year. Stats back it up. For Dan Kennett on Twitter put some great stats out about how, yet again, like we did against Newcastle and like we've done every game this season, we haven't outrun the opposition, for example. And there are lots of other stats about sprints. We're sprinting less. Going back to the basics, I think it's too simplistic, because I don't think we can, because I don't think we've got the energy. I think it's as simple as that. How are we going to reset it or reinvent it, Jack?
Yeah, it's an interesting interpretation, and I think I have seen a couple of his interviews as well, mate. But the way I took that, as you said, it's difficult to get. As in, there's probably a lot more well-educated, 100% more well-educated with degrees in terms of psychology of sport and everything. But as you said, Owen and everyone listening, it is going to be difficult, really, in reality, when we've seen what these lads have done over the space of 4 seasons, even before that season, the great Gini Wijnaldum goal against Middlesbrough at the back end of the season, to the Champions League football, which is probably one of the very early steps of the road in which we do find ourselves in prior to the beginning of the season. I look at it, mate, I don't know how you feel, and everyone listening, Nigel, when I've watched Liverpool in recent weeks, and even the drawed games we have had over the last couple of seasons where we've missed out on the title by 1 or 2 points, for me, the way I watch it, might be completely wrong, but I would like us to see a different tactical deploy in the certain games. We don't always have to continuously play the high line. Even that Napoli game, I think we were at 6s and 7s, and when Liverpool have struggled, I've felt just sit 20, 30 yards deeper. We've got the quality, most importantly, of the players on the pitch to play a different brand of style. And I don't know, the signing of Núñez, did it call upon a different change of formation tactically? But I look at certain games where we dropped points over the last couple of years, and I'm wanting to see something different. Origi, for me personally, offered that something different to something that Liverpool didn't have when he had, i.e., Roberto Firmino on the pitch. When Origi didn't come in, he impacted games. He offered Liverpool an outlet, a different style of play, potentially, when we've become unstuck. And that game against Everton, Liverpool ran out of ideas come what the end of that game. Yes, we created a couple of chances, but for me, I didn't feel like we grabbed that game by the scruff of the neck. And as to say, it's impossible to compare with City because their wealth of quality on the pitch and on the bench and in reserves. But when you analyse Liverpool, Núñez, he can play on the floor, he can play in the air. Firmino, one of the best false nines when he is in the ground in terms of creating. When Firmino drops too deep, that is where the situations do arise where Liverpool struggle. And I think we've seen that in recent weeks, mate. But yeah, I'd like us to see a different approach to certain games and certain moments. I think that would improve us massively going forward.
Yeah, okay. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Nigel, you found a place. You found a nice quiet place where you can talk and rant and rave, perhaps, or give us some constructive criticism, some kind of. I just want to know, I mean, we were absolutely awful against Napoli. I think it was our worst ever um, result in the Champions League or even the European Cup. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to ask you: is there a fix, Nigel? Is there a fix for this rubbish that we've been seeing? Is it what Jack's saying? Is it tweaking the system? Is it changing the formation? Is it, I don't know. Give me your thoughts, or it's all rubbish. We're doomed.
No, I don't think we're doomed, but we've got to. There needs to be a tweak to the system, but I think the tweak might need to be kind of rein Trent's forward runs in a bit. When he was pushing forward the other night, he was caught right hand side, and they had like 2 or 3 men running at Joe Gomez, and who didn't really cover himself in glory the other night. You know, he was caught. He was wide open. He had 3 or 4 guys running down his wing, and Trent was caught up the field lots, especially in the first half. Like, he's got to try and, if he's supposed to be playing right back, try and play a bit right back. You know, it's just don't keep pushing into the spaces, hoping the ball is going to come to him. There's a time and a place, and we were getting absolutely destroyed. Like, we were lucky we weren't 7 or 8-0 down at half time. That's how bad we were. Virgil van Dijk made a very good clearance. Alisson made 2 or 3 good saves, and they missed a couple. You know, facts are facts. We were miserable the other night. We were so bad. So, like, there's got to be, I think, all the back 4. I'm excluding Alisson from this. I'm not including the back 5. I'm excluding Alisson from this. All the back 4 got to take certain amounts of blame for that the other night. I thought Fabinho had a very poor game, and I love Fabinho. I think he's a great player, but he was poor the other night. There was no protection. Now, maybe that's because we're missing 2 or 3 players in the middle as well. But, like, Millie put himself under pressure with it's like a tackle when he went through that guy. But, like, all these factors of guys not covering their positions, not playing, not following markers. Look at what was it, the second goal?
Third one? Are you thinking
maybe
of
it was the second one. This is one too. The guy ran at Gomez down the wing, played the ball in outside, and ran into the space. And it was statues. It just stood there.
One. Yeah, with Zambo and
Second,
that 1-2. Yeah, that was the second goal. Wasn't it? There were so many.
It was a really nice one too, but
so simple. It was infuriating. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, but there's so many problems. There are so many things to look at from that game that we can look at. But what you mentioned about Trent staying back, I mean, Gomez as god awful as he was, I mean, is there an idea that we could play Gomez in the next game, whenever that is, at right back? So, and play him as a right back, because our problem, I think, which is the next thing I wanted to think about and talk about, is if we're going to play Trent in the usual Trent position, then we need to find a solution for Harvey Elliott, because Harvey in the 8, as wonderful as he's been with the ball, without the ball has been a ghost, has been absolutely invisible, as invisible as one of my auntie's body burps, and as it causes and causing as much damage as one of her breaking wind moments. So yeah, I don't know. Can we, Nigel? Can we change Harvey in the 8 as well to give Trent cover, or just play Gomez back there and then keep him as defensive? Move Trent to midfield whilst Henderson's injured. I don't know. Could that be a wild card, Nigel?
We just didn't break wind the other night. We got up on the kitchen table and crapped all over it. Yeah, I think I was just thinking about it there when you were talking about it, moving Trent up and about Harvey. I just think Trent and Harvey might have got kind of crossed wires They were kind of playing in the same position and chasing shadows. There was just nothing. They were like they just went straight through us, straight through that gap. And it gets isolating Salah on the wing as well, because he's getting no decent balls down the wing either. He's stuck out in the corner as well. You know, when we've seen Salah before, he's cutting in from the wing and taking shots and causing havoc across the wing, but he's stuck. He's stuck there in the corner. And kind of Harvey is stuck in front of him. And Trent pushing on is getting caught with 30 yards of space in over his head. And we got caught big time with that the other night. They were just knocking the ball into the spaces and catching us with pace. We've got to try and get a shape. And the other thing, me and my dad were watching the game tonight, and I kept saying this to my dad. When we're passing the ball, and we're sticking it under our own players' feet, there's no ball in front of that the man can move on to like progress the ball on in a positive manner. Feet. I mean, beat the ball out and it's wasting time and giving their players a chance to get back. We did that so many times the other night. It was painful, is what it was. That was. We've got to rearrange the system where we can get the ball in front of our players, let them run onto it, instead of stopping and going back for the ball, or stop the ball under your feet and then try and dig it out. Absolutely. It's costing vital milliseconds.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was far too much of that. And again, but the shell shot look on so many of our players' faces, Jack. They don't look like they're confident. They look like they know that they're in trouble. And there's something that Jan Molby said on the Excellent Anfield Index show with Trev Downey. They were talking. Trev was asking him about what was worrying Jan the most, and Jan Molby was saying that the worst thing for him was the lack of reaction, because you lose a chance in the first 2 minutes of the match and they hit the post after 1 minute 20 seconds. Osimhen, who was absolutely fabulous, going in on goal, hitting the outside of the... Oh, excellent. Abdul's going to join us as well. Hitting the outside of the post after 2 minutes. Then, okay, you can see the penalty, they score. Then you can see the second penalty and they miss. And there's no reaction to any of it, Jack. And it's something that is really very, very worrying, isn't it? I mean... What do you think about it, about Harvey Elliott in the 8, about, the reaction? Is there a fix to this, anything we've been talking about? And then I'll get into the, I'll get Abdul's opinion on this as well. Hello, Abdul. But what do you reckon, Jack?
Yeah, in terms of the, address the Elliott one at the minute, physically, he's 19 years old, and we've seen Trent. I think Trent in the last 2 years, he's more... Especially over the last 12 months, he's physically filled a bit more out, and that's helped him defensively from a strength point of view. But don't get me started on his defensive awareness, especially for that Napoli game, non-existent. But I think Elliott, he's been thrust upon a team and an environment where you need to come in, and yes, we've spoke about in recent pods where this is Liverpool Football Club. You can't be a passenger. If you're young enough, you're good enough, and Jurgen Klopp feels you can go into this squad, you can hit the ground running. But I think Elliott coming in has coincided with a lot of players around him. I think we can all agree Elliott's been easy in the top 3 of everyone's selection for best players that have started the season, really. But I think, as he said, Mason, we spoke about when Elliott does play in that right-hand side of the midfield 3, we are defensively open down that right-hand side, and I think that's something they will evaluate, obviously, in the Ajax game and over the next 2 weeks in terms of analysing all the data. I think, as he said, we potentially do need to not change formation, but move Elliott into another position. But as everyone's spoken about, it's about personnel, and at the minute we haven't got anyone else to come in apart from James Milner, who will he'll be on life support by the end of like a couple of weeks, because that man should not be playing 3 games in the space of a week. Yes, he's probably the fittest player in Liverpool's team, but that's at the test at the beginning of the season when minutes haven't been played. But yeah, and in terms of, as Nigel was saying, the defensive line, and there needs to be something analysed in terms of we do need to do something. What was the second question? No apologies. In terms of,
it was just go wherever you like with
yeah,
it,
I know,
to be honest.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a quick one in terms of what Nigel said with the line. It was very, very interesting, and oh yeah, that was it. In terms of reaction, as Jan Molby was saying on the index,
reaction, yes.
Yeah. It's interesting to come from, obviously, he knows he played the heart of Liverpool's midfield in a very successful period for the Reds. And as he said, Owen, when that second penalty got saved, well, there was no reaction. I would have thought all of you watching or listening would have liked to have seen a reaction. But I think we've been waiting for a couple of weeks now, haven't we, for that reaction? And quite frankly, it hasn't come. And it come against, no disrespect to Bournemouth, but it's Bournemouth. I think it was very reminiscent in terms of the way Bournemouth did approach that game at Anfield, the way Scott Parker didn't change his tactics. But when you do that against elite opposition at Napoli are, or in European competition, or whoever you're playing, you get very quickly found out, and there's no more like we did on Wednesday. I was very disappointed, mate. But yeah, we need to sort it out, and this is why Jürgen and the tactical people get paid millions to sort these issues. And I'm hoping, and I think we all know Jürgen can turn this around 100%.
Yeah. I mean, Jürgen. I don't know, Abdul. I don't know. Honestly, I've already resigned myself to this season's going to be rubbish, because we haven't strengthened where we obviously needed to strengthen in key areas. I've been thinking that we actually need 4 players in midfield. I don't know what you reckon about that, Abdul, because, okay, bear with me, I think you need to replace Naby Keita, you need to replace Oxlade-Chamberlain, you need to replace Gini Wijnaldum, who we haven't replaced. So that's why we've been missing him. Lots of people on lots of podcasts saying how much we miss Gini. I don't think we miss Gini, but we miss a player like Gini or someone to come in. But that's 3 of them. And then you need to replace Henderson and Milner. So that's 5 that you need to replace. But we've got Harvey Elliott, who arguably, like I'm arguing before, it shouldn't play in an 8. You have to, like Jack was saying, tweak the system somehow, or put Joe Gomez at right back so Trent doesn't vacate all that space. But you've got Harvey Elliott, who's a talent, or Curtis Jones, that's a talent. But we need at least 3 Abdul midfielders. We haven't got them. Thiago's coming back. He's going to make a huge difference to us, but I don't know. This is panic stations in my mind. The little sort of people, or the many people, the crowds that live inside my head. They're all in panic mode. I need to get the mind police on them to gas them back to their homes where they can have a nice lie down. How are you, Abdul? What's going on? What do you reckon about this midfield situation?
First is first. Pleasure to be back on the show. Glad to see you guys. Nice to connect again. Obviously, might not be the right place to do this, but also got to say that rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. Wherever you are, hope the angels are wherever Charles said earlier. And yeah, I'd also like to thank her for passing at such an auspicious moment, because I really was not looking forward to watching Liverpool tomorrow. So that game is off now, and then Chelsea game is almost definitely going to be off as well. So we're not going to play a game in the domestic competitions until October the 1st, which is ample amounts of time on the training ground for Klopp.
Really? Sorry to interrupt. Really? It's October the 1st, really? I haven't looked. Okay.
We've got the international break coming up in 9 days. Wow. So we've only got the Ajax match on Tuesday, and that's it.
Wow. So yeah,
So
blessing in disguise for us then. What would you do? You would send them to Butlins to chill out for a while? What would you do?
well, first things first. I think I I hope. I mean, look, the club, we've been ran in a way over the last 6, 7 years where data and analytics is at the very core of everything that we do. I hope that Klopp has got his data team working overtime to try and see where exactly we are having problems in the team. He gave a very brief kind of rundown of what he thought were the problems in our team after the Napoli match. Basically said, we're not compact enough in midfield, and as a result, we can't press effectively. And as a result, our high line then basically goes to poop, because if there's no pressure in the midfield, then they can just play a ball over the top very easily. But I think there is something more to it. It's not just a Napoli game. There's something wrong in the team. You can blame it on the fact that we haven't had a regular midfield, or we haven't had the best midfield since the beginning of the season, and the injury crisis. You can also possibly blame it on the fact that I think we played too many games in pre-season. I also think we came back from the end of the season much too early. I think City came back 10 days after us, and they didn't play as many games as we did last season. So I think it was a big... I get that we want to be the team which outruns everybody, but I don't think we needed to come back so early, and I don't think we needed to do so much running in pre-season. And I think Dan Kennett has said it on Twitter, like, we've been outran in every single game that we played this season, which is completely uncharacteristic of a Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team. So that's a big issue. The Harvey Elliott situation, I feel like it's just an easy, I don't know, like, yeah, maybe there is something there in terms of the positioning, and maybe he's a bit too wide, and that's maybe the reason why we're not compact, which is fair enough. But I don't really feel 100% comfortable saying that his introduction to the team is the reason why we're not doing so well, because I think he's been one of our best players this season. And there's other players who I think are on a bigger wage who deserve to get called out first. Definitely Trent. I think everybody has been, losing their hair over his defending in recent weeks. Not just the defending. Like, look, he's a good defender. Let's get that straight, okay? Klopp said at the end of last season, like, when you're playing in this Liverpool team, the amount of goals that we don't concede, okay, you have to be doing a good job. And then secondly, the amount of times that he is faced one-on-one by wingers, and we don't usually hear about him getting beaten. We do remember the ones where he does get beaten. That's the thing. You can remember that Rashford will burn him for pace one time or whatever, and we'll concede a goal from there. But it's all the ones that you don't ever really think about. Like, and he's played against pretty much like all of the top wingers in the world over the last 5 years, and he's shut up a lot of them. So I think for a fact, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a good defender. It's just this like attitude that he's had to his defending this season, where like he just gives up and he doesn't show us all that he wants to try and get back, even if it's like a lost cause. Like, he's just standing still like that. I completely understand that pisses people off. So yeah, definitely he has to have the spotlight on him for his defending. I think Mo Salah deserves a spotlight on him right now. Like, the chance that he had in the first half against Napoli, where like literally his great ball over the top to him, he just miscontrols it. Like, if he gets a shot off there and we get a goal back, I think that's a completely different game. We created a lot of good chances in that first half against Napoli. If we get them in the goal, completely different game in my opinion. But yeah, sorry to ramble, but basically, yeah, it is a bit of an issue. I hope that the data team is like looking properly at it and they have the data there for Klopp. I hope that this extended break we're about to have is going to be used to really look at what we need to do in the midfield. I think that something that's just universal for life, problems present opportunities to put forward solutions. And I think for a long time, this Liverpool team has kind of just gone for the same kind of solutions in terms of just chucking Henderson into the midfield and chucking Milner into the midfield. And I think right now, with the players that we have now, and also with the players that we should be getting back by the end of this international break, so I think Ibu will be back. I think Henderson will be back again, and possibly, apparently, Naby Keita will be back, according to Guinea's manager. But if so, and Curtis Jones as well, and Arthur's here now. We have, and Thiago's back, and Jota's back fully. We can have, and Nunez is here, and Matip's back. So we have a lot of players who we can hopefully, like Klopp said, reinvent the team. And I really want to see a different looking team when we come back on October 1st, essentially.
It's a wonderful answer. Really good. Lots of things to think about and talk about. But before I go to the next guest, Nigel, are you still with us? Because he's turned his camera off and his mic off. Maybe he's walking home.
Yeah, still here.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Well, before I come to you, Nigel, I don't know if are you walking home now? What's going on?
No, I'm still in the shop.
You're still in the shop. Okay, what's that? I mean, that's dedication.
No, if I was walking home, I've got a 25-mile drive home.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, you're not going to walk then. Okay.
I ain't walking that.
Well, fair enough. Okay. Well, before I come to you for the next question, then there is a little bit of housekeeping from some brilliant comments that are coming in, and everybody in the chat on YouTube, you're all very welcome. Alan asks, was it pasta for dinner, Abdul? This is a very important question.
KFC, Alan. Sorry to disappoint.
KFC.
It wasn't. It wasn't
bucket?
good.
What did you go for? KFC
Yeah,
Zilla Tower Burger.
It was that last night. So I've had KFC 2 nights in a row. It's not good.
Man,
but,
that's not good.
Yeah, the only reason is because my mum was like, "Oh, let's go and get a bucket." So I was like, "Okay, fine." So yeah, that's what happened.
Well, there you go. Blame it on your mum. She's a bad influence. Okay, there you go. What did you have for dinner, Jack? Did you have anything nice? Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, I had salt and pepper chicken with fried rice from Chinese.
Oh yeah. That's classy. That's classy. Okay, very good. Yeah, excellent. I had Chinese food for lunch. Chinese noodles soup, dan dan. It's called. It's a traditional soup, and you get near the Pantheon in Paris. There's a restaurant. Let me know. coponpodcast@gmail.com if you come into Paris and you want some Chinese noodles. I've got the address in this city. But anyway, let's go back to football. Brilliant comment also coming in from course. I can't pronounce your name correctly because it should be that course. I mean, that's the best I can do. Brilliant comment saying, I have experience of management in hospitality. There's only so many pick-me-ups and so many new ideas, so many let's go agains in a team's life cycle. Now, it's a stretch of a comparison, but my point stands, and I think that's a really good point. There's only so many times, like I think there's a myth associated with Liverpool that, in many ways was, put into, pulp and then turned into a book by our assistant manager. There's a lot of myth around Liverpool. This kind of with a legendary team and the boot room revisited, or however they called it, between Pep Linders and Klopp, and there's a lot of myth and a lot of we go again. Intensity is our identity, but as I said a couple of times already this season, half a pint of shandy is our modus operandi because it's not working out. Nigel, I don't know. I had a question somewhere amongst that, but Abdul, as he said, as Abdul said, absolutely brilliant. We've got all these players coming back. So is it a case of we can get all the players back and we can suddenly play well again? Like we suddenly were brilliant against Bournemouth. We were suddenly brilliant against Man City in the Community Shield. I don't know. How are your expectations when we get all the players back, Nigel?
Well, it's going to be a little bit of apprehension because we haven't been starting well. You know what I mean? The 2 games we started well, we won. We started well against Manchester City. We started well against Bournemouth. The rest of the games, we've been crap. We haven't started at all. We've conceded chances in the rest of the games. We could have been 4-0 down in 10 minutes the other night. We were the same against Newcastle. We've conceded the first goal in 7 or 8 games in a row, nearly. And it's just, a question of, I think, first of all, shape. There needs to be a shape on our team where we're saying, just hold your run for a minute. Hold back on that forward run for a second. See where we are. See how they're setting up. Don't get caught with a ball over the top, and settle down from there. It's back to basics with this now. You know, apprehension is the key word, I think, for us in the next game. Ajax are not going to be afraid of us the other night after seeing us play the other night. They went out and they hammered Rangers, and then Rangers might not be that great, but they're going to fancy. If we're going to start plowing forward like that and leaving big gaps in behind, we're going to get caught. Little bit of common sense.
Well, but I mean, in many ways, that was, you know, Napoli were the first decent team we've played all season. I know that Ajax, they've bought and sold tons of players, but, you know, to beat Rangers 4-0 is absolutely fabulous result, and they've started their season strongly. But, you know, so far this season, if you discount the Community Shield, we've played Fulham, Crystal Palace, Manchester United, who, I don't care what you say or how many hags you bring me, they're not a great team still. We played Bournemouth, we played Newcastle, we played Everton, who were shite, and like we played Napoli, and we absolutely failed that test, Nigel. But I don't know, like as you say, yeah, we've got to be more alert to the danger. That's one of the many problems that we've got. But I don't know. Can we be optimistic, Nigel, though? Can we think that, well, when Thiago's back controlling games and when Fabinho's had a nice rest, you know, I don't know. Can we be optimistic, Nigel? It's going to turn around after this, you know, enforced break of three and a half weeks?
I hope so, but like I said again, and going back to apprehension again, it's not like, when is the last time us as Liverpool fans or us collective have been in apprehensive mode? It doesn't happen. We've been going gung ho for 4 or 5 years now. You know, the last time I think we might have been apprehensive was when Dejan Lovren was playing centre half. You see the ball coming near him and you're just going, oh God. But yeah. You know, we need to address the problem. If we can address the problem, and I'm going back to it again, shape is all important. As we were playing before, everything was structure. We seem to have kind of broken a little bit of the structure, particularly down the right-hand side, or with both fullbacks even. And then we're tying up our fullbacks with our midfielders and leaving gaps in behind, and we're getting caught because teams are sitting back. As far as I was concerned, all our key play from the last few years was get the ball down the wings and get in behind their fullbacks and cut it back. That worked really well. Now these teams seem to be defending on their end line. Every time we go forward, they're just sitting in and inviting us on, and we can't break it down at the moment.
Yeah, great answer. But you're not feeling your the apprehension. Like, yeah, I totally get it.
A little bit.
No, I mean it's. I think you're right to be apprehensive. Like I said, I still think we're going to finish around about 8th, maybe, this season, even with all of our players back. But Jack, I don't know. Are you more optimistic at the fact that, you know, Thiago's coming back and all these players are coming back?
Yeah, Abdul is done a great point, and the word was obviously attitude. In terms of the word, you can pinpoint that and pin it to a board. Same with what Nigel said as well, attitude and shape. But most importantly and fundamentally, the attitude has absolutely stunk the place out in recent weeks. We all watched that Trent performance and a lot of other players as well. The fact that we've lambasted Manchester United for the best part of 4 or 5, 10 years for the way they've all applied themselves under certain managers, and the attitude even to a certain extent in which has failed Liverpool and the certain moments, like i.e. the Leicester game when we played Leicester, was it last season, away from home? Yes, it's small margins and you do lose the league by 1 or 2 points. We had a great season, but it's City have done that just a bit extra. And City have had these issues as well. Yes, you can talk about their squad depth, but still, they've had to continuously go again, go again, go again. And Liverpool had created a culture in recent seasons where psychologically that burden of waiting 30 years, you thought, oh, sounds, we've got over the 30-year wait for a league title. We've got that. But Jurgen Klopp brought that when he come into the football club, winning titles in the Bundesliga. He knew what it meant to win or get to at least Champions League finals. And he turned us from doubters to believers. But I think, have we gone back to doubting again? And I think certain sections of the football club and the fan base as well, it feels to me that we've gone back to the doubters. And it's whether Jurgen, if he's going to have to do another speech like that. And there was a point as well that watching, I didn't go to the game. It was the Newcastle game, yeah. And a couple of my mates went to the ground, and he said there was quite a lot of people leaving before Liverpool got their second goal. And that's very, yes, I understand if you got to go to your card and got to get out early or other commitments. But even if we are playing bad, I'm surprised Jurgen Klopp didn't go off his head, because he has in the past. And I think Jurgen Klopp, he needs to do something big. We see him punching the cop every single home game after a win or a good performance. I'm hoping he can galvanise us one last time. But as Rob said, and the lads have already mentioned, it's what minerals has this team got left? It's about time some of those players in that changing room stood up. There's no feeling sorry for yourselves. It's Liverpool Football Club, one of the biggest institutions in world football. We've got no time for passengers. We've seen the rest of the teams around us in the Premier League and in Europe as well. They've spent. We can't be feeling hard on for ourselves. Life goes on. Football continues as well. And Liverpool will be strong again. Well, I'm hoping. But we've got to get our act together sooner rather than later.
I think just one thing quickly, like talking about attitude, and it does feel like it's just something off with certain players. Like, and I think you can go through the spine of the team and you can just feel it. You feel like Van Dijk isn't really there. Milner's giving him a bollocking. What's that about? What is that about? Can you imagine that happening 3 seasons ago? Like Van Dijk, like not really being all there. Trent isn't there. Salah isn't all there. Fabinho, I don't think, is all there. The only one who I think is really there is Diaz, Harvey Elliott as well. But yeah, he's a young lad, like he can't do it all by himself kind of thing. It's just kind of like all of these players are our key players in our team. And right now, when we need at least one of them, like if Virgil was performing right now, and Alisson is performing to be fair, but if Virgil was performing right now, like we wouldn't have some of the losses or the draws we've got this season. Like we would have been able to carry it through with just one of them, but all of them have just not been on it. And it makes me sad to like watch Arsenal right now, because I look at Arsenal and I see like the kind of attitude that Liverpool have had encapsulated or like had a full grip on for like the last 4 seasons. That's what I see in the Arsenal team right now. I see a team full of confidence, a team who's willing to die for every single win. They're not taking it easy, like they're not being complacent. They lost to United, fair enough. Liverpool also lost to United, but I see that there's a kind of spark in them, and it feels like Liverpool are just flat at the moment. We don't have that spark in us. So yeah, I think it is mainly an attitude thing, but then yeah, the shape, like Nigel is saying, is like so important, especially to our team. So I hope that the data boys and the analytics, they're working on the shape behind the scenes, and I hope Klopp is going to be there on the training ground, making them do burpees until I hope Trent, like, look, we've got the weekend off. I hope Trent is just made to go to Anfield and just run, just for the sake of it, because yeah, it's just not on. It's just not on.
But I just wonder. I mean, the parallels people are making with Dortmund and Klopp's 7th season, where they were in the relegation zone for a lot of that season, and Klopp, of course, he's super loyal to his players, perhaps to a fault sometimes. Although it's it's excellent that that he backs people. Is really good for team spirit, and part of our success was because he is so loyal, of course. But the parallels, like when you talk about attitude and going back to Course's comment about there's only so many times you can G people up with "let's go again." There's only so many times where like any of us on this call, put us on the turf at Anfield, we're going to try our guts out. But for me, I've had too many Dan Chinese soups, and I'm going to last about 3 minutes before I'm like, I might actually, like, that'll be it. I'll be gone. I'll see you in the next life. Because, that's what Dan soup and age does to people. But but my mental attitude would be spot on if I was ever on that pitch. But like, I don't have the talent, and more, the thing that, unfortunately, it seems like some of our team are catching me up on is I don't have the physical capability, and I just don't see that we've got the capability physically to run. And I saw Nigel, I saw Napoli versus Liverpool, a rerun of the highlights of Liverpool versus Napoli at Anfield, the famous 1-0 Mo Salah game, when Alisson pulled off that incredible save in the last minute, took us through the group stage. Of course, you remember that game. But if you look at the highlights back, we actually created a ton of chances. I don't know how Sadio Mane didn't score at least 3, and Mo Salah could have got at least 3, and it was absolutely wonderful performance. But just looking at that, you could just look just from the highlights. Henderson's running, James Milner's running. They're running at 50% faster than they can run now. 50%. It's like another 50% faster, and that's huge, a huge difference. And that was back, obviously, 3 years ago, whatever it was, 2019. So I just don't think we got it in us, Nigel. I don't think they can be rallied. I don't think they can be. We just have to find a way to be more compact, as you say. But about Jurgen Klopp and the loyalty thing and Dortmund, is there anything in that for you, Nigel?
Yeah, there possibly is. The other thing we're missing, I know Henderson's legs mightn't be there anymore, but is his organisational skills. You remember, you see him turn around and telling people where to go and what to do and who to pick up. We're missing a bit of that, and Virgil was good at it as well. I thought when James Milner got onto Virgil van Dijk, he was fully right. He needed a bollocking because he'd made a horrible mistake, and like, it's not like him. So it's just, I have no problem with Miller trying to keep our team focused and that, but with that, it's just the legs are failing a little bit on some of the older players maybe. But we do need somebody in there barking orders. You should be there. You shouldn't be there. Look around and you see someone standing beside you. What are you doing here? You should be back there or up there. There seems to be a little bit of a disjoint within the team. That would be my big worry at the moment, rather than form. I think getting everything back together and into the swing of the system again.
You think back to basics, Nigel?
Back to
Absolutely.
basics.
Back to basics, absolutely.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we could talk about the burnout. We could talk about all kinds of negatives. I do want to talk about a positive, though. With you, Jack, Lucho Luis Diaz. The man has taken this dysfunctional team, and he's playing like he means it. He plays it like it means the world to him. You know, going a goal down and fighting for his life. And he's backed it up with skill and he's backed it up with goals. And it seems like he's one of the only ones who's playing like we all dream that Liverpool fans, Liverpool play as Liverpool fans, we all dream that the Liverpool players reflect this attitude. Lucho's got it, and it's a joy. Like, I think maybe it's gone a little bit under the radar because of our general performances have been so awful, but I think he's been absolutely sparkling. I would consider putting him up there if this continues for the rest of the season. Putting him up there with Luis Suarez of 13-14. Is that ridiculous?
If he got Suarez level numbers, then possibly, yeah. But as you said, you get that with quite a lot of South Americans, and by Lord, if every single Liverpool player had the attitude that Lucho has possessed since he's come in to Liverpool, then we wouldn't be in this situation, because the man with a ridiculous strike against Crystal Palace, even against Tottenham last season, we spoke about in a previous podcast, didn't we? That Tottenham game. It was a massive deflection, but on that night in particular, he felt like he was a man possessed doing everything on his own when Liverpool were very short of ideas. And as we've seen, and things have transpired this season, he could have got the winner against Fulham. He hit the post crossbar. I've lost count of how many times he's hit the post. Yes, we want them to be going in, but at least he's getting into those positions. He'll grow in more in confidence. And obviously, once he gets over the language barrier as well, in terms of taking on Jurgen Klopp's instructions and his better understanding with his colleagues as well on the football pitch, and especially down that left-hand side, I think a Colombian speaking to a Scotsman, the translation is obviously going to get mispronounced or something's going to go wayward there. But I think once those two have a better understanding, and obviously the Greek behind them as well, Kostas is probably one of my favourite players this season as well. So I think once we get a better understanding down that left-hand side, I think we'll see a more evolved side to Luis Diaz. His game, really, in terms of, but he's been a breath of fresh air, and especially it would have been difficult for anyone to come in to replace Sadio Mane for what he's done for the football club and what he's done for Senegal as well. But what he's come in and replaced Sadio Mane has been his attitude. I mean, that's one of the biggest characteristics that you got with Sadio Mane. Regardless of how bad he was playing in certain games, he'd always give us 100%, and he'd always leave every last ounce of effort on the football pitch. You'd know Sadio has tried his best, and that's a great characteristic that Lucho's brought to this Liverpool team. And long may it continue, boys. I think once he gets a couple more goals and the penny does drop in front of goal, and a better understanding with Nunes or Jota and all the other lads, I'm excited to see what the future holds. And he's still only quite young, getting 25, I think he is. So yeah, the better years are ahead of him as well.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, no, totally. He's a joy to watch. Hopefully his best years are ahead of him. Yeah, but I think they're starting now. Speaking of starting now, Abdul, Darwin Núñez. I mean, it's obviously been an interrupted start for the obvious reason of that sending off. But how are you now that you've seen him a couple of times? Of course, you know, everyone's looking a bit disjointed, but I like the idea of Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz linking up with Mo Salah. I think there's a lot to come, and that's another thing that I'm excited about when this football finally resumes. I think I'm staying positive. I'm staying optimistic about Darwin. I reckon he's going to get 20 plus goals this season in the Premier League. Again, am I being ridiculous? How are your hopes for Darwin these days?
Yeah, so in general with the Liverpool team, like there is a very positive, like I've got all the negativity out, which was basically essentially I don't actually know what's really wrong with the team. I just see that there's a lot of attitude problems and we need to sort that out, and yeah, sort out the structure, sort out the shape. But if I want to put forward a positive argument for Liverpool, it's actually quite easy. I mean, Man City have started seasons badly under Pep recently, over the last few seasons, and they work their way into the season. They gain that head of steam, and then the train is just straight out the station. They don't start, they don't lose. And I think after our exploits last season, we definitely, I think, needed to come back down to earth a little. And yeah, we had a bumpy preseason. We thankfully got Community Shield over the line, but I have been willing to, you know, begrudge us these bad results at the beginning of the season if it's something that we can learn from and something that we can use to spark our fuel again. Because yeah, like you guys are completely right when you say like there's only so much you can hear of, you know, let's go again, we go again, blah blah blah. There's only so many times that you can G up a team mentally. And I think at a certain point, you know, going through hardship is always going to be beneficial if you can use it in a beneficial way. So there's a part of me that's even thankful that we've gone through this at, you know, the beginning, end of the season, so that, you know, we can learn from it. We can have the fuel in our tank to attack the rest of the season, basically, and say that this isn't acceptable. We need to go forward from here. And looking players-wise, I have absolutely no doubt in my heart that once the team does click into gear, Darwin is literally going to be buckets full of goals. Like, I feel like just like Haaland, goals are just going to gravitate towards him. Balls are just going to, we're just going to start seeing some Luis Suarez type, you know, the balls just falling in his area, like really luckily. Like so many of Suarez's goals, like I remember it was just like he created his own luck, somehow got the nutmeg, somehow got the ball came back to him after a clash of legs. I could see that exact same kind of thing happening with Darwin. And I can also just see like, the thing with Darwin is we signed him because it's like a 1+1 equation. It's literally like this, there's something in his numbers that the analytics team has said, this guy is getting disproportionate amounts of goals from these situations. And then we also looked at our other players and it's like, okay, this player Trent or this player Salah is creating a disproportionate amount of chances in this situation. And it's like, okay, well, if we put those two together, that's gonna basically be goals for us. And I still very much believe in that plan. I think it's gonna come true. We just need to sort out the midfield. Like we've got like Thiago there. If we keep him fit, keep him well, and then next to Fabinho, then hopefully one more there, like maybe Elliott, maybe Keita when he comes back. I still believe in Naby. But yeah, once we get that midfield sorted, once the team is back playing at their right levels, got the right attitude back, Trent isn't being a dickhead, Salah's banging goals and, you know, being Mo Salah again, Luis Diaz is just being himself as he is right now, I think Darwin will score so many goals. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. Don't lose the faith, people. We've got this. Liverpool can come back from this, especially with a 3-week break now. We can definitely do this. Okay, we can do this. Keep the faith.
I love it. I love it. I love the positivity, the complete antithesis of Sikani Banda in the comments, who just says Liverpool is dead. But there you go. But no, I'm inclined to agree with you, Abdul. I would say though it all hinges on the fitness of Thiago and how long Fabinho can carry on in the six. Because even though Fabinho has been a bit of a shadow of his former self, he's still been the best. Like he's the only six we've got. But if that happens, maybe we can come back. I want to thank you all because we've done an hour, more than an hour, and it's been absolutely wonderful to have you with us. Abdul, what's going on with Watch LFC these days?
Nothing much, you know. Yeah, we've got a new logo. You know what I just noticed on Watch actually very recently?
Go on.
Our esteemed owner, who everybody loves all the time and nobody has any criticism for ever, John Henry. I just noticed that he only follows 63 accounts on on Twitter,
Yeah.
and only 2 of them are football related. One of them is at LFC, and the other one is Watch LFC.
Man.
So
you
yeah.
can get into his DMs and you can actually DM him my plan for 4 midfielders in January. Fantastic, man. That's really good. Congratulations. That's really good.
Let's see if I can swing something, see if I can get him to reply. But yeah, really surprised me. I saw it. I was like, what? Like, okay, fair enough.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, don't do that, obviously, because then he'll be quick to the unfollow button as he was to the fluctuating soybean prices early in his career. So okay, Jack, what's going on? Anfield Road TV.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, Owen. Great to speak to Abdul and obviously Nigel as well, and everyone listening. Look after yourselves. Yeah, I should have obviously an Ajax build up this week. Potential match day vlog as well, as long as it doesn't absolutely like bucket down in terms of the weather, but we'll find out then. But yeah, thank you very much, gents, for having me on. And everyone, the Reds will be back. We'll be back. And Abdul trying to just drop a little nudge or like it was like Facebook poke or something like you used to be able to. You can't do that on Twitch, on Twitter now, but to say a nice hello anyway. But everyone, look after yourselves, and thank you, Owen and lads as well.
Oh.
Yeah, the Reds will be back to winning ways. Hopefully, we absolutely batter Ajax, but we'll find out on Wednesday.
Wonderful answer. Excellent stuff. Nigel, is it time to go home? Is it all dead in the shop and there's no more customers? What's going on?
Well, there's no more customers because I locked the door. But no, I won't be going home for about another 20 minutes. I won't get home till about 10:30 my time.
Wow. Okay. Well, in that case, thank you so much for being with us. Great to hear your views. Absolutely lovely to hear your views, Nigel, and everyone in the comments. You are very much appreciated. Alan C just says Abdul is the man. Yes, he is, and it's great to to have everybody with us. To everybody listening to the audio version as well. Do give us a follow on YouTube if you want, because I think for the first time in ages it actually worked today, and I am spending quite a fair amount of time like doing pointless things like making sort of glittery stars in the background and all this kind of stuff, trying to make it look pretty for no particular reason other than just to see if I can. So if you want to check it out, do follow us on YouTube. But everyone there on YouTube, you're all very much appreciated. You'll never walk alone, everyone. Take care. Speak to you soon.